About what I mentioned about this study that came out of Western Australia today, national picture about police. 3 times the number of police taking their own lives, middle-aged, blokes. You know the numbers from here. Rose, how do we help them? How do we make sure that we can bring that number down? Certainly there's a Royal Commission at the moment. When it comes to veterans, I don't want to be honest, go through that whole process when we know what the reality is here. How do we better help these people? Because I know even, young women that I know that are paramedics quit really early because of the trauma that they will never forget.
Yeah, I mean, and suicide is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, the mental health pressure that our first responders are under is extreme. I mean, my brother-in-law's a cop. I see with him, how much it has affected him, dealing, as you say, every single day with trauma, with people living, in incredibly difficult circumstances. The worst day of their lives is every day for a police officer. One thing I think we can really invest in is peer-to-peer support. A lot of these guys going to a doctor, going to a professional, that needs to be there, but peer-to-peer, mate-to-mate is actually one thing that I've really seen in my family's helped. And actually, if we build up the structure, I think we can get those conversations happening early so we deal with it at the low level before, it gets out of control for some people. And unfortunately, we are seeing far too many police officers taking their own lives.
The cop and the left wing of the Labor Party. Christmas must be fun. Christmas must be fun at your joint. We'll televise it next year. Steve, I think another potential scenario here is to swamp with more officers to make sure that it's not the exposure of the smaller police force to an increasing population number of people. Now, of course, the left will hate the idea of way more police, but if it means there's fewer interactions of trauma, well, that's good, right?
One of the worst things I ever covered as a journalist was the 1988 double murders of Steve Tynan and Damien Eyre in Walsh Street in Melbourne. Those 2 coppers were 20 and 21 years old. Pulled up behind a stolen car. The car was empty. The crooks were hiding in a bush behind a house and came out and executed them because there was a gangland war on at the time. We should do everything we can to support our police officers, and far too many of them, as we've said, Rose makes the point about suicide, but far too many of them are being gunned down by criminals with weapons. Look what happened in Queensland. That was just such a tragedy for all of us. So we do need to protect our police as much as we can, give them the powers that they need and give them the public support that they deserve.